So welcome everyone to the second Launchpad Corner. It's absolutely fantastic. Sorry, the third Launchpad Corner, I should say. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's the second one in this series, which is the Hackathon Essential Prep that we're doing. So getting you guys ready for the hackathon that's going to be taking place on Saturday, the 3rd of February. You'll be able to find the link in chat. Want to say, if anyone hasn't signed up to the hackathon right now, make sure you do so. We've nearly completely filled our allocation. We have not even publicly announced the link yet. It's only been there for people that have been participating in the Launchpad community and attending our events and our other Launchpad corners and things like that. If you do that, you'd be able to find the links, but it's going to be in the chat. Make sure if you're wanting to get there that you come down, and you definitely get signed up ASAP, because that allocation is nearly completely full. Hopefully Vikesh is in the chat today, and Vikesh will be sending the Eventbrite link into the chat. So one thing that we want to say is that there's some new faces here today, some people that haven't necessarily spoken or haven't necessarily come across Launchpad before. So I just want to give us a brief rundown of exactly what it is. And essentially what it is that Launchpad is a group of people. All of us started as coders. Some of us are still coders. Some of us are just recent university graduates, and some of us, such as myself and Vikesh and the like, are entrepreneurs. We've made that transition into starting startups and businesses and things like that. And on GITEX 2023, there was a lot of feedback coming in over the course of a conversation that me, Vikesh, Sheher, Isham, and a few others had. We decided that why don't we put together something where we can show people how to take their technical knowledge and launch businesses and increase their skills and increase their value as people. Whether you're wanting to improve your career or to actually launch that business, these skills and these things that we're teaching is actually quite key, and it's skills which transfer over. So that's the basic premise of Launchpad. Everything is based around our hackathons and things like that. So we have sprints where we build things up to hackathons, where we'll have various different content, interact with people, things like that. And you'll be able to come forward and, really get a lot of value out of what it is that we're doing. So we've got a podcast episode that's going to be releasing on the third hackathon very shortly. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@coderslaunchpad. And you will be able to get an idea of what it is that you're going to be doing on the day and more in depth. But essentially what you're going to be doing is building an AI Shorts Clipper SaaS. So it's not just showing you how to use AI API calls or Vision AI and things like that. We're actually going to be going into detail, showing you how you put it into a SaaS, how to do the front end, things like that. And we've got various different prizes that we're going to be announcing as well for people, which I think they'll be really excited by. And we've got a fantastic lineup of judges and speakers as well. Some of the people that stayed on the call afterwards, after the recording finished on the previous Launchpad Corner, Launchpad Corner number 2, they got to have a sneak peek at exactly who it was that is going to be attending, that has confirmed so far. And I think it's fair to say that they were all quite excited. So that's the initial preamble done. Let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to request thumbs up just so that people can let me know exactly when they can see the screen. So if you bear me one moment, I'm just going to click the share button, and if I can get thumbs up, and then we'll get started. Okay, fantastic. Thumbs up. Here we go, guys. So pitching your ideas. Now, the first Launchpad Corner, the first one in the series, the second Launchpad Corner that we've done, which is the business mindset. That's about getting you prepared for how you need to approach building your product. So on the hackathon day, that's something which, you're really going to make sure that you watch that Launchpad Corner and also this Launchpad Corner as well, because not only you're going to need the mindset to understand how it is that we're going to show you guys how to code, and you build the code. What's going to also happen is that you're going to pitch your ideas to us. And this is something which we're covering off. This is taken directly out of the hackathon day. We removed some content from the hackathon day in order to make more time and space for you guys to code. So this is one of the key it's one of the key materials that you need to use in order to be well prepared for that hackathon. And Vikesh has sent the Eventbrite link into the chat, I can see. Thank you very much, Vikesh. So you've got the mindset, you've built the product, now you're going to go and pitch it. What is it that you want to do? Well, you've made a tangible tangible product from an idea. How you're going to pitch it? The first thing is that you need to really know your audience. One thing that we're going to cover over here is that we've kind of categorized the different sort of pitches that you can do depending on who it is that you're talking to into 3 streams, but it can really go into quite a few streams, and those streams come into users, sort of business investors types people, and you got technologists. So what we mean by technologists are people who maybe, for example, you're speaking to someone about, and you're scaling your product, and you need to negotiate some terms where they will allow you to use some server space, something like that, or it's someone who's a technical user, things like that, and you're really having to use a particular type of jargon in order to, show them why you're worth backing. Sometimes you're talking to someone who might become a business partner or an investor or something like that, depending on the stage of the product's at. And obviously, they would fall more into the investor category. And then you've got users that you're going to be pitching to directly, the lifeblood of your business. If you've got users, everything else becomes a lot easier. So they fall into them 3 categories, and we're going to be covering that off. And what the essential point is that your language must adapt to your audience. So you need to be using clear and relatable terms. You need to avoid technical jargon that isn't relevant, and you need to overcome common user objections. So what do I mean by this? Well, the whole point of you going to meet someone and pitch to someone is that, sorry, can you please mute the mics, please? I think it's coming through in the feed. Thank you. So the whole point of pitching to someone or meeting with someone is that you want them to be able to digest the information down, to be able to regurgitate it, to be able to say it to someone else. It's that idea of word of mouth. If it's something which you have condensed down enough that they are able to understand that, wait a minute, okay, although this is a highly technical product, what's happened is that, they've broken it down into simple enough language, it's very basic, they're using the correct terminology, things like this. For example, a user isn't going to, a technical person might care very much so what firewall properties that you are using and exactly what protocols you are using. Okay, and it might be a key point of your pitch if you're, for example, let's just say, got something to do with cybersecurity or something like that. When you're talking to a user, they might not necessarily want the nitty-gritty, they might just want the high level. It might just be that, look, we've got this certification and that's all that we need to, discuss on that side. It might be that you have to go down into further and further detail. So your language has to be correct. You don't want people to be constantly guessing. And again, one of the things is that a lot of people, they get caught up on acronyms, and they get really stuck in the minutiae, and that's not something that you want to be doing. You want to be making it very easy, very simple. It should seem as though it's just rolling off your tongue like you're having a casual conversation. So your language is the first thing that you've got to be thinking about and getting right, and you need to make sure that your language is such that it's going to overcome the common user objections that you've got. And that's particularly for users. When you've got investors, you want to be using business terminology. You want to be using things such as gross profit margin, what is your growth rate, your monthly users, your CAC, all these various different metrics. I mean, we'll go further and further on, and there'll be later on in the slides you'll see some examples, but you want to be using the correct terminology for business, for investors, so that they understand immediately what it is that you're talking about. You really need to understand that you've got a limited amount of time. One thing that I said in the first podcast episode, inside Launchpad episode 1, and also in the second Launchpad Corner, which was the previous Launchpad Corner, one thing that I said is that people's attention spans is significantly decreased. You have to make sure that you're earning the next 3 to 5 seconds every time you speak. You don't want to be making it too difficult. You want to be using the correct jargon. You don't want to be going too far heavily, or you don't want to be too vague, and you don't want to be too far into the technical side of things. You want to make sure that they get a good picture and they understand exactly what it is. And again, overcome the common objections. There's other questions that they're going to ask you that people get stumped on. What are, like, common objections for investors? I mean, if you watch Shark Tank UAE, or if you watch Shark Tank US, or Dragon's Den in the UK, whatever it is, you can notice that a lot of people get stumped on financials, and they don't understand their business, they don't understand what their ownership structure is and things like that, or the terms such as cap tables and things like this. You really want to make sure that you understand the jargon and you're using it effectively. Again, this comes back down to language. And finally, when you're using technical, when you're speaking to technologists, people who are more interested in the tech side of things, maybe they're facilitators or something like that, you want to be using the correct technical terms. We don't want to be talking about how you have a specific system that you are using, or a specific framework that you are using, and what CPU is running on, and things like this, and you're going really, really far into the nitty-gritty. You can just use the correct term for how your website is being deployed. It's a cloud server on Azure, something like that, Kubernetes, AWS, whatever it is. You need to be very exact with exactly the language that you're using, and you need to be using the industry specific language as well. It's something, again, it comes down to what you're trying to do is you understand what the level of that person is, and you use the terminology that they're familiar with, but you don't overburden the person where they just feel like, it's like a dictionary being read out to them. And again, you overcome the common user objections. What is that? They might ask you on these sorts of slides something to do with, how is it that, you would, for example, handle scaling beyond 2,000 users? What's your average users that you've got right now? You might say it's 500. Okay, how are you going to account for the fact that you're going to be going to 2,000 users? Things like this is quite simple, quite basic, but a lot of people don't think about, and they don't scrutinize their pitches to really cater for the fact that, okay guys, these are the common questions that we're going to be asked. We need to make sure that we have a good logical flow. And the thing is that this feeds quite nicely. And again, we have the common user objections that someone might have from a previous slide. It's from the previous Launchpad Corner, and that's just to show you some examples, some common user objections. And the reason that you want to be thinking about how someone might object is so that you can really tailor your pitch to be able to understand exactly what it is that they're going to ask, and you can create a logical flow. We're going to come on to this later, but once you know your audience, what is it that you say? Once you understand that they're going to expect jargons such as XYZ, they're going to expect me to come in at this level, this user, they're a power user, so they would expect me to be more up here. We've got another user who's very much a beginner. What is the level that, we're coming in at? Once you've ascertained that, what is it that you're actually going to say? So, this is a generalized breakdown of what I found works very well for me, and a lot of other people tend to agree with this, but it's not a one size fits all kind of rule. There are things that when we're giving you advices is that you do have to really do your research on the person. This is just a general rule to get you guys started, but it all comes down to research. You shouldn't go into a meeting unprepared. The person will know about it, the person that you're speaking to will know about it, the people that you're speaking to will know about it. So with users, you want to focus more on the features that it is that you're delivering, highlight the benefits of everyday scenarios, and hone in on the problem more than the solution. The last one might seem counterintuitive, but let's expand. When I'm pitching to a user, usually what it is that they're interested in is that what problem are you trying to fix? How is it that I would, how is it that they can imagine themselves using it every day? And then also on top of that, what are the features of this product? What is it that is making it unique? And again, some of these you would use them on all of them, but for a user, you really do hone in on this. A user doesn't care about your CAC, your cost of customer acquisition. That's something which it's they're not really going to, you wouldn't say that to a user. They're going to care more about the features. They're going to care very much so about if you can highlight the problems big enough and how you solve that problem, how you solve them pain points, how you really focus in on the product. They're going to see you as more valuable. A lot of people, they just focus on the solution. What happens is that people generally lose sight of why it is that they should be using your product. What you want to be doing is that you give problem solution, or problem and then solution, if you're addressing multiple of them at the same time. And then that's for users generally what you want to be doing. It's something that I used to go and do demonstrations up and down the country in the UK, whilst I was still at university for one of my companies. And, one thing that I learned was that I didn't have a good conversion rate. But as soon as I changed my demonstrations to focus more on the problem, I'd show the teachers, it was an ed tech company. So I'd show the teachers, this is your problem, this is the solution for it. This is your problem. This is, instead of just going through all the features that I had, and by organizing and showcasing the key features that no one else could do and building it up like that, it gave them an easy route to see that, okay, this is where the teachers are starting at right now, and this is the pathway that you make to them, and you show them that there's this wonderful land over here that they can go to, where they can really push forward and really punch up to the next level, and your product is the thing that's going to allow them to get to that place. Obviously it helps to have a fantastic product as well. That really helps when you're pitching as well. But with investors, you want to focus on the solution and its impacts. You don't want to be honing in on the problem as much. Yes, you have to deliver your problem statement and what it is, and explain the scope of the problem and things like that. But it's not as if you're going into as detail where you're like, here's a problem, here's how I'm fixing it, here's a problem, here's on a feature by feature level. When you're doing a demonstration or a pitch to a user, you're more focusing on, look, this is the solution, this is its impact, this is what we're trying to address. You want to speak on the growth potential and the profit margins. Are you an investor or a business person that you're pitching to? They're going to be very, very much interested in what it is that what is the roadmap for what it is that you're building. Have you thought about that particular business partner or investor, for example? Have you thought about how it fits in with their portfolio, with the way that they're also trying to grow, and what they're trying to accomplish and achieve? So speaking on growth potentials and profit margins, the financial side of things, that's a must really when you're talking with them people. Sometimes if it's a business partner that you bring in on board, you might not necessarily go so far into the financials. You probably actually keep it very light. But when we're talking about investors, because we want to help people launch startups, and generally startups like to have the options of going for investment should they need it, that's something which, again, profit margins, growth potentials, that's what you need to be doing, that's what you need to be focusing on. And also potential risks and strategies to negate them, not risks only to your product but risks to your business. A lot of people, when they start startups, they're quite young. They haven't got old enough to have bad health yet, fortunately. But if you go through a patch where if it's only you in the business, that's a risk to the business. It's one of the reasons why single founder startups actually struggle compared to startups that have multiple founders, to get investments and things like that. So if you've got weak points, you need to really be honing it in. This echoes back to what I said in the second Launchpad Corner on what is a business mindset, is that if you've got a weak point, you need to be addressing it. Don't leave it hush and things like that. Is that showcase that way, okay, I understand this is a weak point and this is how I'm going to address it. What you have to understand is that sometimes you're not going to be able to close whoever you're speaking to, whether a technologist, investor, user, or whatever, you might not necessarily close them at that meeting. But what you need to be doing is actually showcasing to them that at this meeting, this is the stage that you're at. The next meeting that you have, they can see that there's some growth, there's some movement that's happened, because that lends a huge amount of credibility. So potential risks and strategies to negate them. And also technologies, you're going to be talking about technical aspects, possible impact on the industry, innovation and efficiency. You're going to be going more onto the side of exactly what it is that you're trying to do, in a technical sense. I mean, it's simple, guys. Like we said, the second workshop, what I said is that business is simple, people make it complicated. Give the people what they want to hear. I don't mean bend the truth. What I mean is that they want to understand what it is that you're giving, what it is that you're presenting to them. So give them, do your research, understand who they are, and give them the information that they want. Let them know that, okay, what is the potential impact that X startup is going to have on the industry, on the technical industry, on what it is that they're doing, things like this. Sometimes, you get a lot of instances where these all combine. For example, you might be pitching to a user, and then they bring in their tech person, that handles, technology, and they're wondering about how it's going to integrate. Now all of a sudden you're having a different level of conversation. So again, it's that point where, but when we're talking about technologists in this use case, what we're actually talking about, what we're actually referring to over here, it's when you're talking to people at Microsoft or startups, when you're talking to people that are going to help you with service delivery and things like that. So that's what we mean in the context of this talk. There's so many different topics, and me and Vikesh were talking about this as well, weren't we, Vikesh? Is that we could literally talk for hours and hours on these topics. How do you condense it down? And we will be doing follow-ups on these, so make sure you guys are sharing, subscribing, being an active part of the community. And Vikesh, could we please send the Linktree link in for all of our socials into the chat, please? And one of the things which I'm really excited about is following up my series that I'm doing for the hackathon prep, is that Vikesh is going to be doing something on internship and making your first dollar as well. Sorry, Vikesh, if you wanted to announce that, my bad. But it's something that to show you guys is that there's a through route, is that we want you guys to be understanding exactly what it is that you're going to be doing. So once you understand, then your audience, you've sort of got an idea of what it is that you want to talk about. The next thing is that you want to be keeping them engaged, guys. People oftentimes, they think a talk is going well because people are being silent or they're nodding, and there's they're able to talk uninterrupted. That is not the case. What you want to be going for is that you want to be understanding, are they engaged? This is where your research comes in. Don't go into a meeting unprepared, guys. Make sure you understand the people it is that you're talking to. Once you've lost their interest, you've lost them entirely. It's going to be very difficult to recover. A lot of you guys in these instances, and Coders HQ in the beginning phases, it's catered towards people who haven't launched a business yet. They've got the technical knowledge, they haven't got the business knowledge, they haven't got the soft skills, the personal skills, for pitching and the mindset and things like that. This is what we're trying to help you guys with, because some of us have gone on this journey, some of us are going on this journey. So when you get to that point where you understand that, hold on, wait a minute, you don't have the background, you don't have the companies that you've had before, you don't have a brand, you don't have any successes, any signposts that can tell people that you are worth the next 3 to 5 seconds. If you say something incorrect, if your language isn't correct, you've lost them entirely. You need to be judging the reactions of people based on what it is that you say. In the previous talk, one thing that I mentioned is that I prefer in person, then video call, then voice call. If I can't do that, then I do email. And if I can't do that, then I do a survey. The reason for that, and thank you, Vikesh, for sending the chat into the group as well, the Linktree link. So the reason for that, guys, is that you're able to have a live interaction and you're able to see what the effects of your words are. I remember when I first started traveling outside of the UK, and I realized that people interpret what I say differently. There's a way that I have to pitch the product in the UK which might be different in a different country, because the cultures are different, or the way that they're going to understand what it is that I'm saying is going to be taken a different way. And there were some painful lessons there, definitely, but that's really when I started to learn to judge people's reactions, to be able to say that, okay, what is the minutia in what it is that they're doing, and again, if people are starting to lose interest, you need to adjust the verbosity with which you're talking, guys. So what do I mean by adjusting verbosity? What I mean by that is that verbosity is the how can you call it, the throughput of language that is coming out of your mouth. It's how many words you're using, how much detail are you going into. It's a lot of things. It might be that they're losing interest because you're just not hitting the points that they're asking for. They're thinking that this person is very unfocused. If you're too light, you're going to come across as unfocused. Okay. If you're too heavy on your language and like you're making too many points and you're trying to drill it in too much, what happens is that you're going to come across as someone who is very inexperienced, who doesn't actually understand the problem that well, and again you come across as unfocused. So that's why it's really important to keep your audience engaged. You want to be judging that engagement level. Communication is the key to a successful pitch, guys. And what you have to understand is the actions that you're able to get out of a meeting are directly impacted by what you say, and what you say is directly impacted by what you think. So you got to curate the ability to understand how to communicate. If you want to learn how to communicate, there's plenty of things that you can send into the WhatsApp community chat that we've got, for example. Or there's people in there that would love to talk and help people, and things like that. So I myself, I'm in there, Vikesh is in there, the entire Launchpad team's actually in there. So that's something which, again, communication, find ways to be able to build it up, to be able to build that muscle. If you're not going to go to the gym, you're not going to learn how to run that extra mile, or to lift those additional weights. It's the same thing with communication. You have to expose yourself to it, and then once you expose yourself and you get better and you get better and you get better, then it's something which is can really transform, and you start to notice how it is that you can make a difference. So communication is key. Be precise and clear, be logical but passionate, make a conversation, not a pitch. This is the secret sauce, guys. If you're precise and clear, it's easier to remember, and improves the retention of the audience. Like we said before, it aids informed decision making. If you're precise and clear, that person that you're pitching to, they need to make a decision. You need to make them feel like after they've come out of that meeting, they are able to make an informed decision. It's not like you're hiding things under the rug or something like that. Is that they have a well-formed picture that if they were to do their own research, they would see, that, everything that you are doing, everything that you have said backs up, what research it is that they're doing, and again, it increases credibility significantly. And also it enables word of mouth marketing. Oftentimes when you're doing a demonstration or you're doing a cold call, you're not actually talking to the person who's the actual decision maker. So what do you need to do? You need to make sure that the person that you're pitching to can relay the information to the decision maker in a correct manner, whether it's on the investor side, technology side, or whether it's on the user side. It's always the same. So this is why it's really important to dial down the language. You want to start at a high level, which is low amounts of detail, and then you work down into a lower level. And one of the ways that you can accomplish this as well is that you need to be logical but passionate. Don't deliver like a robot. Show enthusiasm, guys. A lot of people, when they take on this advice, they become like, okay, we saw point X and for that reason we are doing point Y and things like this, and it gets very boring very quick. Remember, guys, you've got to keep the audience engaged. You need to use logical reasoning, because again, it's going to build trust and credibility. A good pitch is a logical pitch. This is the reason why we say that, like, a pitch, it's all about telling the story that you've got. That's not mentioned on these slides, but it's actually a very key point, is that it's all about the story. Why do we say it's all about the story? Because it's a very useful vehicle for explaining why logically you are arrived at the point that you've arrived, why you're doing what it is that you're doing, why they should be backing you, working with you, or purchasing your product, and it allows them to understand it, and allows you to deliver it in an enthusiastic and passionate manner. And being passionate fosters the emotional connections. In the previous talk, we spoke about how on the hackathon day, you're not going to be building a how can you call it, you're not going to be building a complete product, but you're going to be building a product that works quite well. For the initial stages, and you need to be pitching yourself up. You need to let that person understand that although it's not a perfect product, you're the one that can get behind it. You need to show passion. But one of the mistakes that people make is that they show passion and then they do the logical side, or what they do is that they don't have the logical side there at all. That's something which people can sense it. It puts people off, it puts the guard up. What you want to be doing is delivering the logical side and doing that as passionately as possible. It's aiding the passion, and the enthusiasm is aiding the logical delivery. And that is what allows people to feel that, okay, great, I feel fantastic, I can understand the reasoning behind it, and this person feels like someone to back. When you don't have logic there, it becomes very difficult. One of the best ways of having logic is telling your story, condensing your story. You tell the parts of the story that are relevant for the people that you're speaking to, and obviously make it a conversation, not a pitch. It enables a mutual exchange of information, two-way conversation. Sometimes you might not get that sale, but you might get that critical bit of advice, which is going to change the course of your life and your company and your product. I can't tell you how many times this happened to me. I didn't get the sale, but I got something that was so much more valuable. And it enables adaptability and room to address specific topics. If that person is talking back to you, you can now get feedback if there's anything in their head, because what you got to understand is when you're having a conversation with someone, you're not having a conversation with someone who's just sat down for 5 or 10 minutes, or in this case 30 minutes in this meeting. You're having a conversation with that person's entire experiences, their whole life. That's what's formed their way of thinking. So it's sometimes you might say something that you think can't be interpreted any other way, but it has been. So it gives you a chance to address these sorts of things, and it builds trust and rapport. If you're having a two-way conversation, they're going to remember you a lot more. And that's what it is that you want to do, is that you really want to be talking about the journey, and don't be too verbose. Allow for room for the conversation. There's a reason why there's a concept of the elevator pitch, but I'm going to have to move on from this point, but we'll make sure to do a future episode of on it, definitely. So enable the audience to ask the right questions, initiates engagement from the audience, provides enhanced understanding, and reveals different perspectives, and also meets the audience needs for stronger relevance. Whenever you're pitching to someone, they want to feel like the pitch is relevant to them. You don't want to be giving something generic. Again, understand who it is that you're pitching to. Do your research. Don't go into a meeting unprepared. Put a lot of effort into it. People on the Launchpad team, they'll tell you is that whenever we've got to do pitching to anyone, is that I'm all over it. Like the amount of research and the amount of effort that goes into it is that, like, we don't spend anywhere near as much time on anything as much as we do as when we're preparing to pitch to someone. And I think that everyone on the Launchpad team would be able to say that. So that's why you need to be obviously going for the sort of making it relevant to the user, because it's going to, again, make them feel specific. It's going to make them feel special. It's going to make them feel like you're someone who's catering directly to them. And the enhanced understanding reveals different perspectives. We covered this before, is that, like, the instance that I gave, I had a particular product, and it was just that one comment that they made that, maybe you should go down this path. And once I went and I looked at their point of view, it's like, okay, why did they say this to me? What is their point of view? These follow-up questions that you can ask, and you really get a hold of it, and you give them a chance to talk. You don't want it to be a one-way street of communication. You want them to be talking. If they're doing more of the talking and you're able to answer their questions and you're helping them to think, that means that you're along the right lines. If they're thinking about how they can integrate your product, your service, whatever it is, into what it is that they're doing, that's what you want to be going for, guys. So you know what to say. How is it that you're going to present it? You need to be consistent. Portray the professionalism, grants credibilities. It gives clarity and understanding, reinforces the idea of your product. We're repeating ourselves. The same thing as the first Launchpad Corner. Why are we repeating ourselves? Business is simple, people make it complicated. This is one of the ways is that you guys learn, is that you just have to hammer things in over and over again. I was horrendous at pitching. I was horrendous at being on support calls and communicating and things like that. But what did I do is that I went to work in my father's support center, and I got on the phone call with people that were very angry that the products weren't working, and I honed that skill in. So again, that's one of the ways that we're teaching you guys. We're showing you guys how it is that we learned it by giving you the same sort of feedback. So be consistent. Don't be talking about for example, what you don't want to be doing is switching the framing that you're using for who it is that you're talking about. You don't want to be talking about, for example, if you're talking about why you've got a surfboard shop, and how you love surfboards and things like that. You don't want to start talking about how you've also got a passion for photography and how photography came into this new business when it's an unrelated topic. You need to really come across as consistent, and you need to ensure that there's a logical flow, enhances better understanding of your product and your pitch, retains the interest of the audience, and further persuades and impacts the audience as well. That logical flow, really important. We've already covered it. And you want to ensure that you're connecting the slides as well. It allows for a smooth flow throughout your presentation, guides you and the audience, and enables you points to connect together and overlap together as well. A lot of people, they don't bother having connections on their slide, and then when they're pitching for the first time, they completely freeze and they completely forget what it is that they're doing, and that's it. The pitch is over. It's dead. What you want to be doing is that you allow yourself to have a nice flow. Put the information up there. Make it easy for yourself. Don't don't overpopulate it. What I mean by that is, don't focus too much on having everything being there so it's really verbose, but have signposts that can help you along the way. You have to understand that sometimes when you're doing these things, you're gonna mess up, you're gonna make a mistake. That's okay. Sometimes you've just got to push, and you would like to practice more, but you haven't got the opportunity to practice more. So what is it that you need to do? You need to be connecting. You need to be making sure that you account for that with how you set up your PowerPoints. And it's one of the tricks that I use quite a lot, actually. Know your audience. Again, research it, tailor it to them, retain interest, establish a connection. Design and branding is crucial. People will back you if they feel that the design is right. Like if you're giving things that high quality feel, it's something that is really, really important. A lot of people start saying that they don't want to put too much emphasis on design and things like that. They want to be going in at a low level. Is that don't do too much. Don't go over the top. Don't spend like 6 months designing a logo when you don't need to. But at the same time, what you don't want to be doing is that you come in well under the expected quality bar. Is that you need to be presenting not just yourself consistently, but the company consistently. When we're talking about being consistent, what it is that you're saying, your design and your branding is the language of your company. Make sure that's consistent also. Make sure it's on point. Make sure it speaks to the people that it is that you're using. And again, it makes a huge difference. You'll be really surprised by the amount of people that don't think that design and branding is crucial, especially those with engineering degrees. I'm someone who's diagnosed with engineer's handwriting. So my handwriting isn't the best, but even I put effort into it when there's instances where your handwriting is going to get put in front of people. But there's people that don't think like this and they don't understand this, and it's a very key point. And then you have to make things attractive to the audiences. Use sentences instead of paragraphs, use words instead of sentences, use icons and photos instead of words. Condense. Come in at the high level, make it easy for everyone to get on board, and then you specify down by making it easy for people to have conversations. If you are following a logical path and you're making it very easy to follow along with the presentation that you've prepared, what happens is that you understand the questions that people are going to ask before you get to it. So you can set people up. It's the concept of the elevator pitch once again, but just to bring it back around to exactly what we're talking about when we talk about elevator pitches, or we're just talking about pitches in general, is that you want to be making sure that it is insanely easy for people to repeat what it is that you're saying, decreasing the verbosity and just like having things look pretty. And again, using imagery and symbolism, or really reducing the number of words down, is something that is really, really key. A lot of people don't understand this. I've seen some pitch decks where people have wrote War and Peace on it. It's like I'm reading a university dissertation. There is a point in time where if someone's going for investment, or if you're investing in something, that you're going to ask for a significant amount of information and you want it structured. But it's the first meeting. You don't want to scare people off. You want to give them a good idea, and you want to earn the next meeting. After that, you want to earn the next meeting. If you're having enough meetings with someone, the point is that if you're going to spend enough time, eventually that's going to convert, it's going to uptick into the action or the result that you want, hopefully, or you'll get an answer to it. The very best people can do it in fewer meetings. But there's people that might take more, but that's fine. It's more practice. You can get better. guys. So use humor, but not too much. Don't be too cut and dry. Don't try to be too moody or brooding. It often doesn't work that well. But you want to keep the audience engaged and make them laugh, but know your limits. You don't want to turn it into a comedy show. Also don't want to mismatch the tone of your pitch. You want to make sure you're using the correct amount. If you're a very serious product, for example, and you're covering a very heavy topic, you can use humor at the right times to like maybe make it easier. If your product's, for example, dealing with something that's very heavy, a lot of people in securities and things like that, and a lot of people within the AI field are creating products now that handle very heavy topics, and things like that. And there's been people from before, but again, when you're pitching it, you don't want to make it too heavy. You want to have the right amount of levity, I would say, in order to showcase and give people hope, but you don't want to make it mismatch the tone. You're going to come across inconsistent. Everything's going to fall apart if you come across as inconsistent. You don't want to be distracting anyone. It needs to be a very curated version of yourself that you're giving, not a dishonest version, just a curated one, a very focused version. So we've spoken about how it is that you're going to handle your language, how it is that you're going to handle how it is that you're speaking about the content, things like that, how it is that you might put something together. Let's look at what you might put on a few of these slides as examples. For a problem, you want to distill the problem down to a problem statement for a user, focusing on how big the problem is. So, for example, for AILAR, teachers don't have time to learn how to use technical products. AILAR is one of my startups, by the way. Teachers don't have time to learn how to use technical products. So, for that reason, is that I'm building a company that the technology learns a teacher. What's the solution? I've built a portal which accelerates the teacher's various different workflows, and it learns the teacher as it goes along. It adapts to the teacher. Present the solution for the identified problem, showcase how the product will effectively solve the problem. For insight, again, using AILAR as an example, is that I've got over 13-14 years working in the edtech space, and I've been able to work with the best of the best. I operate in multiple different regions. I networked with people across multiple education jurisdictions, and through them was able to come up with a way of approaching education that was quite innovative. So that gives you an example of exactly what I'm saying for a real life sort of instance. Is one of my startups, AILAR. But the insight, discuss your understanding of the problem, how it led to this solution, insights that drove your solution. Going through this a little bit quickly, but it's very high level. People are interested in asking more and more and more with what it is that you're saying. You're starting the conversation. Do you see how everything's linking together now? Team, again, you talk about the team and their expertise. There's, showcase a passion for the project, the tech stack or the tech flywheels, data network effects. Have you got algorithms in there that, are helping to supercharge you forward? What tech stack is it that you're using? For example, if you're talking to someone about hosting your services on their server farm they've got, you need to be able to make sure that you can talk concisely about exactly what it is that you need to do. And then obviously you've got business business models. Again, in one of them slides, you would talk about and you'd explain a business model, what it is that you're going for, financial model, business model, the different types of income that you can have, what it is that you're doing over there. You clarify revenue streams, customer acquisition strategies, and pricing modules, so scalability and sustainability of business. You got to understand that when you're in the beginning, if you're given 5 minutes to pitch, there's only so many things that you can say. If you're given 20 minutes, there's only so many things you can say. So you adjust the verbosity, but this is just giving you some ideas, and again, financial forecasts, product growth steps and roadmaps, company growth and roadmaps. So present financial forecasts, present the financial projections, include revenue, expenses, growth estimates, highlight key financial metrics such as projected profitability and cash flow, outline the evolution and future development of the product, present milestones achieved and upcoming development phases, discuss company growth strategies and expansion plans, detail market penetration strategies, geographical expansion and diversification. I'm rushing through these slides. I'm sure you would have noticed. Reason for that is that a lot of people are not going to be at this stage yet. When we get onto this stage, don't worry, we will make sure to come back, cover this in more detail. For you guys that are starting off and wanting to understand how to pitch, I'm just making you aware that this is what you're going to talk about. So in general, and before I gave you an example of just slides that were before I give you an example of what it is that you talk about to each user, and again, this is a generalized example, but the problem, solution, insight slide, you'd have that for the user. You'd really focus in on them. For investors, you'd definitely want business case, financial forecast, product growth steps and roadmaps, company growth and roadmaps. For technologies, teams, tech stacks, all the technical information that we had. That's I'm not saying that these are mutually exclusive. I'm just saying is that these are where I've noticed is that when I'm pitching and the pitches have gone very really well, is that where I've put a lot of the focus in when I'm pitching to these different people, is that I've noticed that, okay, when I've put a lot of focus into these items, they've gone well for me. But again, they all will have instances of each other. I mean, you wouldn't have financial forecast, and company growth and roadmap, or product growth. You'd have the product roadmap on there. You maybe have the company roadmap, but it's very brief, for a user. So again, it's about giving you the entire idea and showcasing whatever level you're at, whatever level you're coming into. You want to be getting to the point that you can really excel and push through. So let's look at some examples of some customer focused presentations. We're nearly at the end of the presentation, but you can see over here, look, nice and clean, really simple. They can understand what the product is. They can see the photo of the product. You've got a clear branding strategy across all the slides. When you look at them, they can see how it looks in the hand. They got an idea of scale. You can see some basic metrics over here that cover things. And again, it's headphone while it's stating the problem solution over here. That's just an example of some of the slides. Generally, with a pitch deck, a lot of people say is to not exceed like 5 slides or whatever. In my experience, although it is a little bit unorthodox, what I found is that as long as you're really honing in on the on the specificity of what it is that you're doing, what I mean by that is the subject is the person that you're pitching to. As long as you're able to cater towards that and it doesn't look cluttered, it looks quite condensed down, and you're able to speed through it if you need to, you've structured it quite well, you can generally have more. But general rule of thumb, 5 slides, stick to it, especially if you don't know what you're doing. As you get more confident and you branch out and you've sort of got a little bit of a track record that helps you out, maybe look to do more. But everyone has their own style for what works for them. I'm just letting you know what I've done, but I understand that there's even particular use cases where I will stick to 5 slides. But when you're starting out, try to stick to that. And tech focus examples, you can see over here, examples of achievements, mission statements. You got like a flywheel down here, noteworthy facts. You're going to be talking about the products, feature list, metrics against the features, stuff like that. And again, these are things that are also coming on the user side, definitely product features and stuff like that. But you can see how it's more focused in, you've got noteworthy facts, bold statements, but you can get a flywheel going which showcases exactly what it is that you're doing. You can talk about your tech stacks, things like that. Is that and you can see the branding is consistent. It looks like it's well put together. It looks like a professional set of people put together. And again, investor focus, you might have more charts, more diagrams, showing more the scale of the company and the projections of the company, things like that. You can see there's a common language between these. There's a lot of overlap between these slides, but it's just about showcasing to you examples of what it is that you do. This might be, for example, a company roadmap or a product roadmap, what it is that you're doing. Instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, this might be Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, example, things like that. So in a nutshell, I'm just going to conclude up now, then we go to Q&A. Know who your audience is, tailor your language and information towards them, be consistent, be precise, be expressive, have logical and connecting flow, make them ask the right questions. It's really, really important that they do ask the right questions, guys. And design and branding is key. Now, when it comes to the hackathon day, how is this going to tie in together? And then we're going to go into Q&A from there. Is that on the hackathon day, when you're going to be pitching to people that are going to be there, and there's some really exciting people that we're going to be announcing very, very soon, is that you're going to be building something which isn't, let's just say, for example, like launch ready. It's kind of like an MVP for your MVP. It's about getting you on the first steps, taking that first step of the journey. Is that the pitch that we're going to be asking you guys to deliver on that day is going to be focused around get your first time user, make them understand that what the journey is that you want to go on, how huge it is, how they can be a part of something amazing, what it is that you can bring to them and what it is that the product serves for them. so it's a really key piece of advice, guys. And again, Vikesh, thank you so much for doing the chat on this one. You can see the Eventbrite link. Make sure you get signed up. The allocations are nearly full. I'm being very serious when I say this. It's that the allocations, when we checked it before this event, were already really full. We're going to try to be getting more spots, and if we're successful, we will be announcing it publicly, sending the invite link publicly. So we see what we can do on that front. But that's the key bit of advice, guys, is that from the business mindset that you need to take away from the business mindset, the previous one, is that you need to be bringing your action thresholds down. On this one, it's a case of, is that you need to really be making sure that you've catered and you've tailored your delivery towards the people that are going to be there. One thing that I'd give is a really top tip is look at the judges that we're going to release ahead of the event. Do your research and make sure that ahead of time, you already know what the product is. You already know what it is that, who the judges are going to be ahead of time. Why isn't it that you can't prepare some of your pitch beforehand? Think about these sorts of things, guys. Gain an edge. Do what you need to do to gain an edge over people. There's going to be some truly fantastic prizes. But that's for Saturday, the 3rd of February. Make sure you get signed up. For some of you right now, oh wow, I've just seen a message that, well, some of you, if you don't sign up quick enough, that allocation is about to be filled, because I think there's only 3 or 4 slots left right now. I'm seeing the live ticker over here. But guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm going to let it go over to questions. Vikesh, do you want to take over for this whilst I rest my voice, and then I'll come back in, hopefully. Thanks very much, guys. And again, raise your hands, please, and we'll take it from there. Vikesh, take it away, my friend.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Vikesh. Okay. Yep, we can hear you, Vikesh.
All right. If anyone has any questions, please drop in the chat, or you can also open your mic and say, just raise your hand before it so that we can make it a queue. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much for this. Unfortunately, I couldn't do 15 minutes of it, so maybe I missed one point. I had a question. So in the first few slides, you mentioned one of the key things is that we need to overcome the common user objections. What does that mean?
When you're talking about something logically, one of the things that's going to happen is that you're going to get a lot of the same questions. You want to make sure that, you are addressing them head on. For example, if I'm showing to you how to, make a cup of tea, but you don't understand, how it is to turn on a cooker, but I'm assuming that you're going to be lost throughout the entire demonstration. You're just going to be like, what the hell is this cooker? What's going on over here? You know what I mean? It's just like a very oversimplification of it. One of the ideas is that what I've realized is that a lot of people, especially today, they will have the same, if you demo it enough, you'll realize the same questions are propping up over and over again, which is stealing from your momentum. What did it come back to that I said is that you got 3 to 5 seconds. That might be something that loses the person entirely. If they have, let's just say, 3 objections in a row and your pitch is just bringing up more questions in their head, that's going to lose them completely. So it's something that you really, when you start demonstrating, you get out there, you realize that people are asking a lot of questions. I'll give you another example, is that we've put out a lot of content where we spoke about Launchpad, made it huge, and a lot of people haven't a lot of people still ask the same questions. That's why I started off this meeting by giving another brief on Launchpad. You know what I mean? It's just a realize that people are going to ask it me anyway. Just get it over and done with, and we can begin. Go ahead, Vikesh. You got something to add to this?
Yeah, I'll just add one more line to it. Just think of this like what are the questions that may arise from the customer that may prevent him from buying. Okay, let's say that like you are selling something and you make a list of like scenarios and possible cases where he can say like, hey, I don't need this. So you need to think of all the objections that the person can have, and then make sure to have the answers ready for those things. So anything that may prevent him from making a purchase from you, you have to think of that as an objection, and then treat it like make your answer ready for that. So that's how you handle all these kind of like objections. And the more pitch you will do, more customers you will talk to, you will start getting like ideas on like, hey, what are the common questions I'm being asked every time whenever I pitch? And you have this like list will start growing and growing in terms of numbers. And you will, and this will also help you in preparing your pitch better, because then you can update your pitch in terms of problem statement, what solutions you provide, and what are the initial blockers that can have. I think, like, once you will have the good idea on this, you can also make your pitch starting from the objections that the person can have. Okay, so that way, you will start clearing out the doubts from the first slide only. So objections handling is a very, very critical part, and the more you do it, this pitch sessions, or more you do it, more. I think, like, we should also have couple of open pitch sessions down the line for all the people who want to participate, and we can get couple of like ideas or objections cleared for you guys. So this was like, I just wanted to add this line on this objection handling stuff.
Yeah, Vikesh, and you're totally right. I mean, it's an absolutely fantastic approach, and it comes down to is that like a lot of people, they go into the detail in some areas where they shouldn't. Like, like really spend the effort in some areas they shouldn't, and then other areas where they should really use the sort of engineering brain that they've got of like gathering metrics and things like that. They don't go into it anywhere else. And I think that we should definitely put together the analytics series that we were talking about, different ways that you'd gather information and supercharge people. I think that would be massively beneficial to the community, and that's a fantastic point. It's a really great expansion upon what I've said. But yeah, is there anyone else with hands raised or questions in the chat or Q&A? Is there anything in the chat, Vikesh? We've got a hand raised. I can see. I'm really sorry if I pronounce this name wrong. Is it Shiema Adlan? If you can go first, please.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Shima Adlan. Yeah.
Oh, Shima. Okay, thank you.
First of all, thank you for this insightful session. What I understood that the key is to highlight the like the benefits of the product and so on. But my question is, I'm working in a corporate and my customers are like my the stakeholders. So when I'm presenting a project or an outcome of the project, can I use a similar pitch for presenting the outcomes?
Yeah, I don't. It's a. Of course you can. Why? I don't see why you can't. It's just that your goals, obviously it's slightly different, but pitching is pitching no matter what it is that you do. You need to present a logical view. You need to make it very easy for people to follow, and you need to make sure that people understand that you're worthwhile, listening to. If you become excellent at performing in them meetings, what's going to happen is that, you're going to get a promotion eventually, which is something that you want. It's along your goals. The reason why you work is so that you can progress your career and earn money and earn more money. If you're going to go for the startup, the reason why you're doing it is that you want to aggressively grow the amount of facility that you have available to yourself by providing value to other people, capturing that value and getting recompense in terms of money for it. So I don't see why, like I've used this in multiple different settings, like very varied settings. And what I can say is that you can definitely use it in a corporate setting. You just want to be looking at the lens that, okay, is this very clear? Is this very logical? When I'm pitching, for example, the monthly reports, are people asking me the same questions over and over again? Are they questions that are valid for them to ask over and over again, or are they questions which is as a result of a lack of clarity? So when you're going into the corporate side of things, that definitely you can still use these skills. You just have to give it a little bit of thought, but the language is the same. The thing about this is that I really focus in on tailoring it to your audience, understanding your audience, and there's a reason for that. I wanted to make it adaptable for people on all sides. Vikesh, have you got anything to add to that side of things? I mean, me and you have investors at certain points that we have to speak to as well. So, is there anything that you want to add to that, Vikesh?
No, I think like you summarized it very, very well. So, like I don't really have anything to add on that. I think it's on the point, and I agree with all the points that you mentioned.
Yeah, and the next person was Yazan. Again, apologies if I get this name wrong, but Yazan, if you want to go ahead. Shima, actually, was there any follow-up to that? Shima, sorry, before Yazan goes ahead.
Thank you, Saif.
No worries, thank you very much. Yazan, can you please go ahead with your question? It is my first time. I'm just going to read out Yazan's message. So, it is my first time here, and I'd like to know exactly what we will be doing during the hackathon. For the prizes, what will it be? I've personally been working on my startup idea about LLMs for the past 6 months, and I have had almost no prior experience in AI and software in general. So, my main issue lies in technical guidance and what to do next. Yazan, you are the perfect person to be coming to our hackathon. You've got some programming knowledge, but you just want to know how to string together the different things that you've got. We're going to showcase to you. You're going to be building an AI shorts clipper, so something that can take long form YouTube content, make something which for example, social media influencers can share on their channels as shorts and reels, resizes the video using Vision AI, and then obviously it uses AI in order to translate get the transcripts and do various other actions to it to get the highlights out. In terms of prizes, Vikesh, do you have the list of prizes there to hand? If you'd be able to expand upon that once I finish talking on this side, if you can just double check with me. If not, I'll have a dig through and see if I can pull it up. But in terms of what is that you're going to be doing is that we're going to show you how to build the back end, transform the data, how to apply the SaaS, and then obviously the front end tools and things like that you would need to have a working product demo by the end of it. So if you want to build an LLM, it's the perfect thing to come. We're going to show you how to do it. It's really easy. I'm actually surprised that you said you've been working it for 6 months and you haven't launched. But Vikesh, sorry, if you can go ahead, if you've got the list of prizes there. I've got it here, Vikesh. I'll take it away.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so what we have is that we have for everyone that participates, you're going to get to be able to have a social media promotion where you can record a little social media clip that will push out, showcase to people that you've been part of the Launchpad event and things like that, give your opinion on little things, and it's some publicity to help you get started on your journey. When you start your startup journey, you want to be showcasing how you're networking, how you're having a huge effect and things that gives you a little bit of a boost like that. That's for all participants. For those that come in third place, you're going to be along with the first and second place, is that you're going to be invited to an exclusive Launchpad Corner where we'll provide further value and knowledge on how to take the next steps. So there's going to be very specific things which cover off there's going to be very specific things which cover off exactly what to do in order to get this launched, get this ready. You got on our hackathon day, you're going to be building a product. We're going to show you how to take the next steps because it's impossible to do everything within that one event. We've told you how to take the first step. We're going to show you how to take the second and third steps in a follow-up workshop. So third place, you'll get that. Second place, you're going to get a 1-hour mentorship with us, with a member of the team, where the winning team, they're going to be able to come in and they're going to be, talking with us, and we'll be able to say, look, have you got an idea? Do you want some advice? What is it you want to do? We'll work with you for 1 hour. And then also on top of that, for the first place winners is that we're going to actually be launching our AI SaaS Clipper as an actual product. You'll get to work as part of the team as a first place prize. So, we'll bring you on board onto the Launchpad team. You'll work with us and things like that. Yazan. So, Vikesh, could you please take over, please, whilst I have some water? My throat has become quite impacted.
Yeah, sure. So I think the next question is from Noor in the chat. And Noor is asking, if I want to pitch in front of judges in a competition, should I consider it as a user's pitch? Yes, always, whenever, this is my personal opinion again. So whenever you are pitching to anyone, always pitch as you are pitching to your users, you are trying to solve the user's problem. When you are pitching to investors, the slides get slightly changed. You want to show the numbers, metrics, revenues, and customer details and all those things. But when you are pitching in front of judges in any competition, always pitch as a user's pitch, so that they see that what you are trying to do, or how you are solving it, for who you are solving it, and how powerful your team is. And showing a demo of your project or your product will be very good in front of judges to showcase your technical abilities in the work that you have done. So that's my thought on this one. Whenever you're pitching to a judges, always consider it as a user's pitch. But Saif, you can go ahead and add to it.
Vikesh, you've hit the nail on the head. It's echoed what I've said throughout the presentation, and I've got nothing more to add to that one. Are there any more questions, guys? Nope. No more questions. Anyone want to raise a thumbs up, and everyone want to raise a hand or anything like that? Okay, guys. There's nothing else in the chat. I'm just going to check in the Q&A panel if there's anything left over there. There's nothing in the Q&A panel. 3rd of February, make sure you guys are signed up. That post is going to be going live and public very soon. You maybe only have, let's just say, for example, I think, Vikesh, is it half an hour or something like that? Go ahead, Vikesh.
Yeah, half an hour. And one more thing, I was just going to say, like, if you like the session, just give let's give a good hand of clap of applause for Saif for his session and giving his time to us on how to do all this, how to pitch a product in front of the audience, in front of judges. So it will mean a lot to Saif for his very work, and I think we can see all the time that he has put in the preparing all the slides. So definitely deserves a big hands of clap. Thank you, Saif. That's all I wanted to say. You can continue and we can chat. You can turn off the recording now.
Yeah, so thanks very much, guys. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching this back on the YouTube. And we'll see you on Saturday the 3rd. Make sure you keep an eye out. We've got some really exciting Launchpad corners. On the 17th of February, we'll have Mohammed Yasser coming and talking about GPTs and the things that he's doing over there. Next Saturday, we're going to have also the 3rd in the hackathon prep, where we're going to be talking about how to use local LLMs. So we're actually going to be doing some coding over there. So it'll give you an example of some of the coding that you're going to be doing on the day, a very basic rundown version of the coding, so you can get familiar with that. So definitely attend that one. And then finally, what's going to happen is that, Vikesh, do you want to plug your events, and then we'll stop the recording and then we'll see you all later. But from me, thank you very much, guys. I'll let Vikesh finish off and then we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.
Thank you, Saif. I was just going to say one last time, we are just pitching my stuff as well. So on 24th, I'll be pitching about how to get your first internship or how to get your second or third internship if you have already done first. It's going to be a very exciting session. It's going to be open-ended conversations as well. And I want everyone who is studying or who is in your 3rd year or 2nd year or final year of your graduation, if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for internship, I would love to have you all in that event, in that session. It's going to be very, very exciting one, and very open-ended conversations as well. So looking forward to see you all in that session. It's going to be on 24th, Wednesday at around 8 p.m. Dubai time. I will share the Eventbrite in our community, so make sure to join the community. It's the link, all the links that we are discussing, whatever we are talking about, it's all in the chat. So make sure to go scroll to the chat on the top. You will see our hackathon link, our WhatsApp community link, and all other social media links and sites on Linktree website. So make sure to check them, and I'll talk to you all very soon, probably next week, inshallah.
No worries, guys. Thanks so much, Vikesh. Thanks everyone for watching. It's been a fantastic event. Make sure you let us know on the WhatsApp communities, give us feedback and things like that. Even go onto the YouTube video and leave a comment on there about how you found it. Let us know what content you want to see as well. If you want us to expand upon some of these topics, there's only so much you can do in 1 hour. So thank you guys so much. See you on the next one.